When it comes to historical fiction, there's plenty of stuff out there, but there's two time periods that seem to be explored again and again. One of those periods is the Romans, stuff like Gladiator or the numerous versions of Spartacus. The only other time period that seems to approach this popularity seems to be the Vikings. Like Rome, the Vikings are a culture that covered a long span of time and space, leaving a huge historical legacy to explore. Perhaps the biggest cultural impact from these shows, books, various things came from the show simply titled Vikings. When Vikings is good, it's really, really very good indeed. Though taken as a whole over all 6 seasons, it's inconsistent. It's a show that, for me at least, goes through patches of being very difficult to watch. This is particularly true of the last couple of seasons, once it loses its main character, Ragnar Lothbrok. And credit where credit is due, I think Ragnar Lothbrok, both the character and the actor who plays him, might be what makes Vikings into a show worth watching. In terms of the character, Ragnar seems like a Scandinavian King Arthur, a semi-historical figure that everyone wants to be real. Maybe he's just a really good story. If, more than 1,000 years later, we're still talking about him, then Ragnar is an important figure, even if he was never real. And then, along with the character, I think you've got the perfect actor to play him, Travis Fimmel. It's kind of a lightning in a bottle scenario. It's one of those extremely compelling performances where it feels like the guy was put on this planet to do this thing, to perform this particular role. Like he just disappears into it, and you can't imagine anyone else playing Ragnar Lothbrok ever again. It's a performance that's up there with things like Denzel Washington in Training Day or Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. It's really that good. I'm not knocking the rest of the cast. This is definitely an ensemble show, and there are so many great actors who get so much to do. Like Katheryn Winnick as Lagertha is great. Gustaf Skarsgård as Floki also stands out immediately. But I don't think the show is the same after Travis Fimmel leaves, and I don't think the actor has been anywhere near as good in anything else that he's done. Ragnar is such a well-written and well-rounded character, and Vikings is worth watching just for his performance. So how about the pilot? Well, as a single episode, it's okay. If you're going to watch it, I'd recommend also watching the second, and if possible, even the third episode in the same sitting. I'm not saying the pilot is bad, it's more that the first season is constructed in a way where each episode very noticeably cranks up the tension from the last one, contrasting Ragnar's exploration across the Western Sea with the political implications of his actions back home. And it takes multiple episodes for that dynamic to really escalate. But when it escalates, boy, it's really good. Who is Ragnar Lothbrok? At the beginning of the series, he's a farmer, a husband, and a father of 2 children. When we meet him in the opening scene, he's also a warrior, raiding in the eastern Baltic with his brother Rollo, and finishing up a fight against the people who live there. It's a short scene with almost no dialogue, but this opening fight contains a lot of the themes of the series. There's at least 3 things that are extremely important for Ragnar and presumably his society as well. Later, as they sit around a fire on the way to the thing, we see Ragnar ask his son Bjorn, "What does a man do?" He successfully elicits from his son that a man fights and looks after his family, like we saw Ragnar and his brother Rollo do in the opening scene. What else do we see right at the beginning? It also introduces the religious element of the series. We get what are possibly Valkyries descending from the sky to take the souls of the dead tribesmen to Valhalla. And Ragnar thinks he sees the god Odin moving around the battlefield. This is also something that Ragnar discusses with his son around the fire. Odin gave his eye to acquire knowledge, but I would give far more. Ragnar will definitely make sacrifices in order to acquire that knowledge. He and his son are heading to Kattegat to meet the Earl they owe allegiance to and take part in the Thing, a meeting of all the men in the area to dispense justice and to decide on what will happen in the summer raids. In Kattegat, they meet Ragnar's brother Rollo, and the two of them discuss where they think the next summer raids will be. Those bastards to the east are as poor as we are, says Ragnar. I think this is interesting because it suggests that these characters are not just unthinking fighters. They want to use their energy on things that will materially improve their lives. And this leads Ragnar to explain that he has solved the technical problem of how to sail across the open ocean, an issue that has prevented the Vikings from exploring new places. However, there's a big barrier to Ragnar going west. It's the Earl, the man who presumably gave Ragnar his farm, and presumably could also take it away at any moment. And the Earl is not a reasonable man. Before discussing the summer raids, we see him dispense some justice in the case of a recent death, and we learn that the Earl may have been involved in this death, may have personally benefited from it happening. May he never enter Valhalla, may he never feast with the gods, says the Earl, as the man is executed the next day, and Ragnar and Rollo quietly express their disapproval of this. They acknowledge that he is their leader, but the brothers, particularly Ragnar, are on a collision course with the Earl, and it is this conflict that escalates over the first season. After the justice has been served, the men gather and discuss the summer raids. We will raid east again. Ragnar is not happy with this and publicly suggests an alternative, but the Earl is not willing to listen. I tell you, I will not risk my ships on my reputation on such a deluded fantasy. They are my ships, I pay for them, and they go where I tell them to. At the feast afterwards, Ragnar is summoned to speak to the Earl in private. He is chided for his attitude. It's not the first time that Ragnar has challenged the Earl in public, and Ragnar, he is told, should remember that he holds his farm because the Earl allows it. Every good TV show has that actor who takes on the somewhat thankless task of the villain, and Gabriel Byrne does this really well. Rewatching those first few episodes, it's a really impressive performance, both in terms of writing and acting, that establishes Earl Haraldson as the season 1 antagonist. I think the guy is a great actor. I thought he was particularly good in The Usual Suspects, and I don't think he got the credit he deserves for his contribution to the early part of Vikings. So, with the Earl giving him some unwanted attention, Ragnar has a decision to make. He wants to follow his ambition, but the risk involved is not only the trip across the ocean, but also a risk to his family and position at home. Ragnar takes his son to meet the Seeker, a blind man in Kattegat that the locals meet to learn their fortune. I guess the Seeker is part of the theme of religion in Vikings, the spiritual exploration that Ragnar goes on. The Seeker promises Ragnar a great future and tells him that laws of men are far below the workings and shapings of the gods, leading Ragnar to conclude that he should take the laws of men into his own hands. I think the characters in Vikings go to the Seeker for reassurance more than anything else. Ragnar is so interested, is so taken with his dream of England that he's already decided he's going to defy the Earl. We know that him and the Earl have had previous disagreements, and we discover that his plans to sail west are not just idle talk with his brother, but actually about to come true. Ragnar and Bjorn leave Kattegat to go home, but on the way back, they go to meet Floki, a boat builder, among other things. Floki shows them the boat he's been building for Ragnar, which is made for a long sea voyage, and which at the end of the episode they successfully sail around one of the fjords. Ragnar, Rollo and Floki are ready to sail west, along with a crew that they recruit discreetly. Unknown to them, a spy is aware that Ragnar has his boat and informs the Earl. and that is Season 1, Episode 1 of Vikings. Like I say, overall, I think the series is uneven, and I would definitely recommend watching episode 2 straight after episode 1. It really cranks up the action a bit more. Overall, I would say the first 3 or 4 series are definitely worth a watch, if only for Travis Fimmel. It's an absolutely magnetic central performance. This central performance is supplemented by a great supporting cast. Katheryn Winnick plays Ragnar's wife Lagertha, and the two of them have great chemistry. They're kind of birds of a feather, both intelligent and physically capable as well. Gustaf Skarsgård as Floki is very watchable. The giggle is always hilarious. He's this great combination of genuine curiosity and silliness, and a significant level of malice, which he proves relatively early on. And Clive Standen as Rollo. On rewatch, I'd forgotten what an absolute piece of work Rollo is right from the beginning. He clearly loves his younger brother Ragnar, but he doesn't like anyone else or have much respect for anyone. So while Vikings is kind of a one-man show in some respects, there's enough stuff around Ragnar to make him part of something bigger. Thanks for watching.